Real quick, Dr. Gemmill, what is a variant? How does a variant differ from, we heard about this pandemic last year, and then just in the last little while, we've heard about these variants and that they're a little bit more of a concern. Can you touch on that?
Sure. Well, thanks for the question, Mayor Latham. What people have to understand is that when viruses reproduce themselves, they don't do it like we do in an orderly fashion. They're sloppy and they make mistakes. So a variant is actually just a mistake that a virus has made when it reproduces itself. And there are thousands of mistakes that they make. I mean, it's just kind of as I said, a very sloppy process. Every so often, one of these new mutations or these new variants will be significant, and that it gives the virus more capabilities than it had before. So most of the ones that we've heard about so far are variants that allow the virus to glom on or to connect to our cells more easily. In other words, they're more transmissible, probably less virus is required for an infection to occur. This will give these variants an evolutionary advantage. And so therefore, they are the ones that will predominate. They will knock out eventually the original virus. And we're seeing that already. Over half of the isolates in Ontario now are the variants. And that's going to continue, I'm sure. And it's actually to the point where we are now treating every case we get as though it were a variant, whether we know it or not, because it takes a couple more days to find out. So we're being sort of doubling down on the follow-up that we're doing with each case in contact.
When do you see, I know the Pfizer is not as stable, to be able to get out into different pharmacies. When do you see us in Kawartha Lakes maybe target date where we can have more of a general vaccination as opposed to one or two locations?
Sure. Well, the availability in pharmacies is all about which vaccine we've got. And the vaccine that's produced by AstraZeneca and also Janssen, these are fridge stable vaccines. It means we don't have to freeze them. As a matter of fact, you probably shouldn't freeze them. They need to be kept at fridge temperature. And that means that pharmacies can do it easily. Doctors' offices can do it easily. People who are going into people's homes around home care, they're homebound. They're not as fussy vaccines. And so therefore, they need to be kept cool, but not to the same degree. So the AstraZeneca vaccine, we got a shipment from India, several million doses that was then farmed out to the various provinces and territories. But almost immediately, the National Advisory Committee on Immunization said, you have to use these only in age, not above the age of 65, which kind of was too bad because it would be good to be able to give those to family doctors for older people. So the government of Ontario, to deal with this problem quickly, said, let's just get it out into pharmacies because it's fridge stable, and we'll give it to 60 to 64s. Now that's been expanded. As of today, I think it is, pharmacies can immunize anybody over the age of 64 with this fridge stable vaccine by AstraZeneca, because the National Advisory Committee on Immunization then changed their advice and said you can use it on anybody for whom it's licensed, and that's anybody over the age of 18. So that's one good thing. The second thing is, you probably heard in the news last week that the Americans, they've got lots of this vaccine sitting in warehouses that AstraZeneca has produced, but it hasn't been licensed in the USA, so they can't use it. So this is kind of a bit of a win-win. They're giving us some of their vaccine. That means that it's not going to expire and go stale on them, and they'll get a fresh supply from us when we'll pay them back. And so that vaccine, when it arrives from the USA, will also go to pharmacies, as I understand it. And they've expanding it from, I think it was about 320 pharmacies in 3 communities. There's Toronto, Windsor, and Kingston. That now is going to be expanded, according to what Premier Ford said last Friday, first of all, to about 750 pharmacies, and then to 1,150 pharmacies. So it won't be very long. I think we're just talking maybe a couple or 3 weeks before we have that fridge stable vaccine in the pharmacies. That then people who are over 65 or 60 and over will have other options besides just going to the mass immunization clinics.
What about us young pups that are under 60? When are we going to get vaccinated?
You just have to be patient and keep wearing your mask. Okay. And as I said before, like the older people, the 80 pluses and maybe 75s too, they're worried they're not going to get the vaccine. Don't worry, you're not going to be left behind. Maybe somebody in Toronto has got it already because they got more vaccine per capita than we did. but everyone's going to have a chance. We're not going to leave anybody behind. Anybody who wants this vaccine will have an opportunity as we go through the list. And now it's going to be by age. So you'll get it, Mayor Latham. Don't worry. It's coming.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think it's important to note too that I did see somewhere online that, even if you're 80 and above, and now they're, they go to 75 now, or when they go to 60 and above, if you're 80 and above and you still haven't got your vaccine, you can still book it. You haven't missed your opportunity to book it. And some people have said to me, oh, you're now into the 70s. Did I miss my window to book it because I didn't get a chance? So I think
that's a really good point. That's a really good point. They're not closing the 80 pluses. They're expanding 80 pluses and adding the younger age group, 75 to 79. So 80 pluses will always be eligible now. Always.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think, those are our vulnerable residents. So it's important to obviously, my dad's 92 and he got his vaccine. So, he was quite happy that he got it done. So, and I'm hearing that from several people. So last question I have for you. So why aren't we offering this vaccine on weekends? Why are we really, right now it's set up at the fairgrounds in Lindsay. Why are we just doing I think it's 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 is when people are booking. But why aren't we doing it on weekends as well to try and get as many people vaccinated as possible?
Well, Mayor Latham, this goes back to the whole supply issue. And as I said before, I would love to be immunizing 7 days a week now and getting through this as fast as we can. As I mentioned, a couple of weeks ago, we were getting like 3,000 doses a week. Now we're getting 6,000, which is good because not only can we do our retirement homes, but we can also give vaccine to the Lex, to the CCC in Coburg, and to the Haliburton family health team. So that's good. But until we get more vaccine, it's going to be, I just don't want to give an appointment to somebody when no vaccine is there. When we get lots of vaccine, which I hope is coming, there's no question that we want to get that into arms as fast as possible. So you'll see 7 days a week. Not sure about 24 hours a day, but 7 days a week for sure. And because this is going to be a 7-day operation until everybody is fully protected. That's the goal. Everyone fully protected.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us today, Dr. Gemmill. Thank you for everything you've done. I know in your acting role, you've brought a lot to the local health unit at an important time, and we certainly all appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Well, my pleasure, and thanks for having me, Mayor Latham. It's been a great pleasure to work with you as well.